supply. So the question is, what is all this? 97% of the money supply consists of electronic money that is generated as loans by banks. That's so hard for us to get our minds around. It's so foreign to what we've been taught that it's hard to believe, but many authorities have attested to it. I have a couple of pages of them here, but I'll just read the first couple. The modern banking system manufactures money out of nothing. The process is perhaps the most astounding piece of sleight of hand that was ever invented. Banking was conceived in inequity and born in sin. Bankers own the earth. Take it away from them, but leave them the power to create money, and with a flick of a pen, they will create enough money to buy it back again. That was said by Sir Josiah Stamp, who was president of the Bank of England in the 1920s, and he was speaking at the University of Texas. Then Graham Towers, governor of the Bank of Canada, said, banks create money. That is what they are for. The manufacturing process to make money consists of making an entry in a book. That is all. Each and every time a bank makes a loan, new bank credit is created, brand new money. Banks do not lend their depositors money, and they do not lend their own money. They create new money every time they make a loan. Okay, I'll skip down to the horse's mouth here, the Chicago Federal Reserve at the bottom. This is from a little booklet called Modern Money Mechanics. It was originally published in 1963, but it was republished all the way up till 1992. Of course, banks do not really pay out loans from the money they receive as deposits. If they did this, no additional money would be created. What they do when they make loans is to accept promissory notes in exchange for credits to the borrower's transaction accounts. Loans, or assets, and deposits, or liabilities, both rise by the same amount. The way it's done is through double entry bookkeeping. For example, if you go to a bank to take out a $500,000 loan, you will sign a document called a mortgage, and that is a negotiable instrument with a present value. And so the bank will put that on one side of its books as an asset of its own, because you've promised to pay that back over time. And then on the other side of their books, they'll write the same $500,000 as a credit into your account or a liability to themselves because they owe you that money. So at the end of the day, they'll say, well, we didn't create anything. It all comes out to zero. But in fact, this deposit that they just made on your behalf is what you spend into the economy, and that's what becomes our currency. This chart was actually also in the booklet Modern Money Mechanics. It makes that quite clear. This is what happens with a 10% reserve requirement. The Federal Reserve requires banks to maintain 10% of their deposits on reserve. Well, you would think that that would mean that here's your deposits, and that means you can lend out 90% of your reserves. You would think that that would mean that they would lend out all this here, like 90% of this 10% reserve. This is $10,000. But you can see that that's not what it means. That $10,000 stays in the bank. That's your money. If you're the depositor, you expect to be able to draw on that money at any time. You don't expect that somebody has just borrowed it for a 30-year loan. So what happens is the bank creates 90% of that. On top of this $10,000, the bank can lend out $9,000. That's created out of nothing, created on their books. And then that money is going to go into some other bank, probably, and then that becomes a deposit, which can be 90% of that can be lent out, or $8,100, and it just continues up and up and up. This is more pillars here until that happens 20 times, and by the time it's all the way up to here, you've got $100,000. So your $10,000 has been fanned into $100,000 in loans.